breaking the seal on Forbes in about 10 years. What's the satisfactory net worth for you guys by the age of 40? You hope to be worth by the time you're 40 years old. Throw out some numbers out there.
A couple $100,000.
Couple $100,000. It's pretty modest, pretty rational, logical, realistic. Why do you pick that number?
I don't know, just thinking about stuff I have to like, or finances I'll potentially have. Any family, of course, would be, I kind of have to continue to distribute funds, of course. So yeah, kind of like aiming high, but not like insanely high.
Yeah. You're being realistic. You like, hey, things change. I might personally start a family, right? I might add on more responsibilities, not just me, et cetera, et cetera. Good. Nice to know at least you have some sort of vision about potential. Who else? Throw some numbers out there. Whatever your heart's desire is. Yeah. 300,000? Why that number?
It's kind of, like we said, trying to be more realistic, but also try to be more ambitious as well. So kind of balancing both, being realistic, but also trying to at least have some sort of ambition or dream pursuit.
Gotcha. All right, we got a couple $100,000. Let's went up a little bit, 300,000. Who else?
What's the question?
Question is, what do you view your net worth to be by the time you're age 40? Idealistic. What do you think?
I kind of like the way that was too. It's like ambitious to the point where like it's still realistic. So it's like you want to choose a goal that's like achievable, you know. So
Yeah.
you don't want anything too ambitious. We just say it's going to be titled $40 million. It's going to be really, really tough to get that. So
Now, am I speaking just to the entrepreneurs, or is this just people who are going to be working for something? Speaking as an entrepreneur, future entrepreneur, or are you speaking as an employee?
entrepreneur.
Who else?
I think for me, it's just like, I'm going more like the coaching, teaching world, so whatever route I decide to like really take on, if it's like more coaching, I'd like to be that guy that's like, oh, do you want to get to the next level? That's the guy you want to go to. So kind of like more, not money wise, but because I know the money will be there, and more people coming to me, so I don't know how to describe it. More like value I have.
Where you're valuing? You're valuing your market, right?
Yeah.
Coaching and teaching. Good. Anybody else want to share? This is interesting because you think of, what do you think when you think of net worth? What are some of the first things that pop into your mind?
I mean, any assets you own, like that are under your name?
Yeah, first, yeah.
I was just going to say like my house that I want to live in. That can count as an asset kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. Could count on that as an asset. It's a payoff.
And as long as it gets paid off.
Huh?
As long as it gets paid off.
So think about that. When we think of net worth, we may just think of how much money we have in the house, or the bank. We may not be thinking about the liabilities. Right? You're still paying a mortgage. You don't own a house. Bank owns a house. When you sell it and you make a profit, then you make some nice cash. But up until that very point, by technicality, an asset is anything that produces an income. So really, if you live in a house and it's not Airbnb or it's not a rental house, by technicality, an asset produces some sort of income. It produces, it doesn't just take from you, right? You have to feed it everything, right? It actually gives something back. So I think of cars, right? Like we all want these luxury cars. Should I lease it? Should I finance it? I want to own the cars. I want to own it. I like to own things, right? You think of all that as really depending on your decision. How you move about that, you either get an asset or a liability, right? You have greater liabilities than on how somebody took it on. So once again, your decision making is key for your own personal life and how you move. So you're thinking of liabilities, you're like, well, how much do I want to spend? What's my lifestyle gonna look like, right? Maybe somebody who makes even less than you gets work more because they chose not to take on so much debt. How much debt you got? But we live in a debt economy, so we all take on debt. The economy only works with debt. Right? We're talking about how many trillions of dollars worth of credit out there versus just the nominal value of printed money, about $2.3 trillion. So we're all gonna take on debt. If you use the debt correctly, you could be a billionaire. And use the debt correctly to leverage all your dreams. Think of what you've paid for college. Right? You guys have been here for 4 years. Give me some estimates. What you've paid so far to university. Throw some numbers out there. Let's see some alternatives we could have done with that money.
Probably around 50K.
Anybody else? Higher, lower?
I probably paid the school close to like no more than $15,000.
Okay. Well, you have some purpose. Anybody else?
25.
Anybody else? What could we have done with that money? Let's say 50K. What's some alternatives?
Put it for a small business.
Could have started a small business, right? Could have put it in the index fund. You say, hey, just put it with something that goes with the Dow Jones, right? Just could have put it in there. We know that the Dow Jones is going to always increase, right? Always, forever and ever and ever. Put 50K in there. We could do simple math, a simple Google search to show you what 50K will get you in 20 years in the index fund. You might type in 50K in 20 years in the index fund. See what some of the estimates. There may not be just one number, but it'll be estimated. Find anything?
Yeah, either 160,000 or 110,000, more or less.
Try again. What did you type in?
I typed 50,000, 20 years index fund.
And yeah, that's not right. Wait. Somebody else try. $50,000 over 20 years in an index fund. Say S&P 500 index fund. So you come up with some values. Right, okay, but the number did not include interest, right? Compound interest is probably not what it's factored into, which means like you spread the $50,000 and add over each year.
Yeah,
We're talking about, we're talking,
8% compound annual. I put an 8% annual compound annual.
yeah, you can get up to more than that, up to, it's a lot more than that, let's say it's a few million dollars. Right? But is the education worth it, right? Is it worth the 15, 25 to 50? It's yet to be seen. I think that it is worth it, right? So you're asking me, is absolutely worth it. What you gain from going to universities and talking amongst each other, learning, kind of forcing yourself to think about things you don't want to because you're tired, classes are boring. I think ultimately you come out ahead. All the data shows the more education you have, the more money you make over the course of a lifetime. So keep up the good work, keep going. You're almost there, you're almost done. All right, strategy, back to strategic management and strategy. Right? Talking about business level strategy. Okay, you got your great ideas for your business. Or you just have some businesses that you're interested in, that you observe. Right? Let's say some of your company analysis that you're working on. You're thinking of, all right, I know their mission and their vision statement. Interesting. I know what they sell. They sell this particular type of product, or they have this particular type of service. But really, what's their strategy in order to compete in the marketplace? Right? So we could talk about like particular strategies. Idealistically, there's about 5. We can talk mainly about 4. And they really have to do with 2 different things. Right? One is differentiation. They have a unique product. What they sell is unique. Doesn't mean it's the cheapest in the marketplace. Doesn't mean it's the most expensive. Right? Maybe it's somewhere in the middle of the road. Another one is low cost. So they have a cost strategy. Right? They're trying to be the cheapest to get you a product that maybe have a ton of substitutes, but eventually got or maybe have few substitutes. Right? So thinking even for your entrepreneurs, like, yeah, I have my idea, but really, what is your strategy? Are you providing low cost to people, or are you providing very, very niche service or product where people are going to pay high amount of money? Or you're somewhere in the middle. You integrate somewhere in the middle. And we know if you integrate somewhere in the middle, you typically end up in the middle and get lost in the shuffle. Really, you don't stand out too much. You make money, but you won't stand out either way. Right? So think of these leadership decisions you have to make in terms of looking at your companies you're working on or being an entrepreneur. The last class we talked about your reach, your richness, your affiliation, consumer market demands. Talked about subscription model, peer-to-peer, Airbnb. All right, firms choose between 5 business level strategies to establish and defend their desired strategic position against competitors. Taking these, you hope to manifest some sort of position against your competitors in the marketplace. So cost leadership. Examples? What companies have taken a strategy of cost leadership in their respective industry or market? Give some examples. Focus on costs. Okay, think of Walmart, right? Everyday low price. Their focus is cost. You go into Walmart, first thing that comes to your mind is Walmart got the best prices. That's why you're going there, right? Think of Amazon. You go on Amazon because it's probably the cheapest overall for the broad range of products they can get all in one place. Free shipping on all this stuff. And you probably get other competitors to Amazon can't supply these products at the cheapest price that they have, right? Available. So obviously people are going to go to what's cheap. So Amazon and Walmart focus on cost leadership, right? Differentiation. Examples? Like what are some companies that completely try to be special? Or just special enough. I say they don't want to be the most special. Pretty special. Yes.
Probably the food industry with snacks and sodas.
Yeah, okay. Like, well, you've already accustomed to the taste of Doritos, right? Frito-Lay, Lay's, and so you're like, well, people are gonna gravitate that because they're considered a brand name. But it's a lot of it, right? But they're still kind of special. They're special because it's customer, because it's a special taste. Don't mean you can't get it everywhere, right? You can get it everywhere. Corner store, Jewel, Mariano's, Walmart, what have you. Focus cost leadership. Now, focus cost leadership would mean like they particularly, whereas Walmart and Amazon, if you think about it, they're broad, right? Don't mean that they're small. They're largest in their respective markets. Thus, they have huge market shares, but there's other companies that focus on being cheap, but still having products that are kind of rare, right? What's some examples of those?
Trader Joe's. Trader Joe's. It's not necessarily cheap.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's not necessarily cheap, but it's pretty cost effective, right? And they're kind of niche. Like the stuff you buy at Trader Joe's branded things. You can't find in other stores, right? It's still relatively $2 chuck, beer, different types of organic products they sell there. And think of maybe Southwest Airlines, right? We talked about Alaska Airways. Is Southwest Airlines at O'Hare Airport? Where's it at? Huh? See, they differentiated themselves. They don't want to be out there. It costs too much money to be out there. But they've taken over, right? They're able to do that. They say, well, it costs too much money to be out here. We take on that cost. Guess who's going to pay for the cost? You are, right? Won't be able to give you 2 free bags. So their thing is to be situated at airports that are not the primary airports, right? They'd be like the offskirts. Therefore, they're able to save money and be sort of the big headline at that small one, right? Like, go to Midway, you think of Southwest. That's all you think of. So they're able to be cheaper, right? More cost effective, we would say. They still have a little differentiation, So they have differentiation. And then we got integrated cost leadership and differentiation, which is just kind of like a little bit of both, but they're just kind of middle of the road companies that get lost in the shuffle. What are some of those, for example? Just basic products. They try to be cost effective and a little bit different. I could say also maybe Trader Joe's still falls under that. So, right? Because they're not like a market leader. They're still cheap, still big, different. But focus differentiation you think of too on the flip side can be, well, hey, we focus on quality. Or you think of luxury brands, right? But our focus on is the perception that this is the best, the best, and the best. And you cannot get this anywhere else, anywhere. What are some other examples for luxury? What are some ridiculous luxury brands of things that, like, this is it, you either get this or you don't, you're gonna pay ridiculous amount of money.
I guess the cars like Koenigsegg, because they make supercars but at limited runs and for really expensive prices.
Yeah, right. So Koenigsegg is a great example of that. We're like, man, this is extremely rare. They only have a certain number of production for this particular car. By the way, you're paying $1 million for it, right? And people buy it. And so they say, well, guess what? We don't have to produce on a massive scale like Toyota and Honda and We don't do that. That's not what we do. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is to charge a ridiculous price and produce a few things. And it works, right? Whereas another company like, hey, Coca-Cola, $2 bottle of Coke, but a zillion of them. You get what I'm saying? But that's already their strategy of saying, hey, we're gonna produce a lot at cheap. Another one saying, hey, we're Rolls Royce, 500, 600,000 for the car. You can customize it a little bit, make it your own. We don't make that many. And you're not gonna see that many out in the street, right? So they said that's our strategy is focused differentiation. We want to take it to the extreme and be very, very different. And it works. It works. And people pay the money for themselves. Now when it comes to clothing, you would kind of think like, well, it's a little bit odd, right? It's clothing, right? And there's a lot of substitutes we can get. So, you look at some of the brands, let's see, Balenciaga, Prada, even if you have the money, are you buying $1,500 sweatshirts? Even if you have the money, are you gonna buy $3,000 gym shoes? You might. If you're loyal to the brand, right? And that brand makes you feel good. Guess what? Like I said, the richest man in the world is the person who owns Louis Vuitton or Hennessy. Right? How is that possible? Because we love luxury, no matter what. Right? Luxury is supposed to express to people about your worth, what you have, or who you are, or who you're trying to be. So it works. And now we say on the flip side, well, okay, Zara enters the market and say, hey, we want to look like that. We want to look like luxury. We don't look like Prada. We don't look like Gucci. We want to charge slightly over H&M. Right? So they're taking a whole different strategy. So we want to be a differentiation. But we want to be middle of the road price, right? Or cheap price, close to cheap price. And that's why Zara is founder is one of the wealthiest men on earth as well too. So the point is to understand exactly what your strategy is going to be. Is it cost? Is it uniqueness, differentiation? Is it like perceived levels of quality? Think of maybe Apple as part of differentiation, even though a lot of us have them, right? But it's extremely unique. When you think of the iPhone, it's just the iPhone, right? It's really nothing exactly like the iPhone, or really close to it, right? You can have a Samsung, but it's still not right. So Apple has captured something that's both unique in its design of the phone, right? And its design of the MacBooks, design of the iPad, design of the Apple Watch. And it's not the most expensive thing out there. The average person still can afford it most of the time. So I say maybe they have some sort of integration, but they still are different. So maybe it's a hybrid also. All right, each business level strategy can help the firm establish and exploit a competitive advantage. When we say you're trying to get highest returns possible, and I think to take as a caveat when we talk about this, because it's so hard, if you're a private company, and I don't know which companies you guys are doing analysis on, if you're a private company, you can't give really information in the public setting, right? Thus, we really are only speaking about publicly traded companies, where you can just look up and get actual information, right? So you can measure yourself against your competitors. If you're a private company, LLCs and just whatever, that's a little bit more difficult. I don't know, maybe more challenging to get the data of your rival competitors. So just keep that in mind, as well as free market economy. Now I'm talking about doing business in China. I'm talking about doing business in Nigeria. Right? I'm talking about doing business in the United States, primarily. There's a lot of free market economy. So exploiting competitive advantage either at the lowest cost right? You wanna keep the cost low, so it's not being transferred over to the prices to the customers or distinctiveness, right? As the basis for how it will create value for customers. And ultimately is that value is how the customer feels about the thing, the product, or the service. If something's too pricey, if any product you like went up in cost, probably stop buying it and start looking for substitutes. And especially now with inflation, a lot of people are looking for substitutes, right? You may not go to Dunkin' Donuts, you may just buy some stuff at the grocery store, usually K-cups for your kid. As you say, there's the price of that. Guaranteed. And within a particular competitor scope, broad market or narrow market. So for Rolls-Royce, think about it. Rolls-Royce come out the gate. They come out the gate and say, we don't want it all. We know this started. We don't want it all. We want a very, very, very small slice of the pie. We're going to charge a very, very, very high cost for it. Right? We don't want to be Tesla. We don't want to be Honda, Toyota, GM. That's not what we're about. And that's part of their vision and mission, right? The vision, mission, and the point is to stay consistent. Once you start trying other things, now you may have diminished perception of the brand. And that's why when the SUVs come out, right? Lamborghini, Ferrari, Bentley Bentayga, right? A lot of shareholders were skeptical because like, hey, this might actually make our brand diminish in some way, right? Because this is not typically what we do. We're not making it, we don't make SUVs, we make very luxury sedans and coupes and convertibles. So a lot of luxury car companies were kind of, took them a long time, and a lot of them waited. They waited to see how the market responded to the other ones, right? Before they actually pushed out past their concept cars. The longest one to wait was Ferrari, right? All the other ones already came out. Bentley came out with a SUV, Rolls-Royce came out with theirs. Ferrari waited a long, long time to see the reaction to the market. They said, like, is this worth it to start making SUVs on a very, very luxury scale? Because it's hard to compete. Because Range Rover, I would say, has dominated that market for so long. And even still, even though these cars cost a lot, the Range Rover is probably still superior, far superior, even though it doesn't cost as much as those others. So know your scope, right? Particular scope. What's the scope you're going for? You just like, hey, I just want a piece of the pie. I just want this neighborhood. Hey, I'm opening up this taco restaurant just for this neighborhood. I'm not trying to get all of Chicago. That's not what I'm doing. Or you say, hey, I'm trying to get all of Chicago. So I'm trying to open up something like a franchise and put everywhere. Right? All right, so now we have our representation of business level strategies, right? Target markets, we talk about cost leadership, differentiation, focus differentiation, focus cost leadership, which is here narrow market, low cost would be for focus cost leadership. That wouldn't be Walmart, right? Walmart's not a narrow market. So Walmart would be here up the general cost leadership, the broad market, a huge market at a low cost. When we say here, maybe it'd be Trader Joe's. Focus cost leadership, the narrow market segment. And over in the distinctiveness column, right? Differentiation for broad market, we say that would be Apple. Right? Apple's different, but they have a huge market. And here, the narrow market for focus differentiation, it would be like Rolls-Royce or Koenigsegg. And some companies chose to integrate a little bit of all of them, but they tend to just kind of stay the same in market share. They don't really grow as much. All right, so none of these are inherently universally superior to others. There's not one that's really better. It just really depends on the product that you're selling, right? Or the service that you're doing. So what you can do is you can sell old products to old customers. You can sell old products to new customers through advertisements. You can sell new products to new customers. You can sell new products to old customers. And a lot of companies take all of these strategies. You can think of, you go on your phone company's website and like, hey, upgrade the phone, but they still have phones on there from like 3-4 years ago, right? But they want you to upgrade, and they say, hey, okay, they're selling old products to new people who come over and change companies, right? Come over to Verizon or Sprint or T-Mobile or AT&T. Like, oh, I'm gonna get an iPhone 12 Pro, right? Not new, but if you're coming over, you might give you some discounts to entice you to buy something that's a couple of years ago. Right? Apple comes out with the iPhone 14 Pro, do their keynote address, and they're trying to sell primarily new products to old customers. If you bought the 13 and the 12, most likely at some point in time you're gonna upgrade and get the new iPhone 14 Pro. Right? So the effectiveness of each strategy is continued on the opportunities and threats in the firm's external environment, the marketplace. Right? Who are your competitors? What are some of the things happening within your industry, within your market? What are some of the changes that are going on? And strengths and weaknesses derived from its resource portfolio. Right? Maybe you're not able to get as much capital from the banks, leverage the debt to do entirely new things next quarter. Maybe you've had to lay off people. Maybe there's been a strike, a union. There's all sorts of things, right? Or maybe you just had some failure in management as well. Thus, it is critical for the firm to select a business level strategy that represents an effective match between the opportunities and threats in its external environment and the strengths of its internal organization based on its core competencies, right? What it does well. Alright, so firms that use cost leadership strategy commonly sell standardized goods or services like Walmart, but with competitive levels of differentiation to the industry's most typical customers. They have a host of different products. In process innovation, new design, production, and distribution methods and techniques that allow the firm to operate more efficiently. So you say, well, how do they grow? Right? Okay, they've taken the low-cost leadership strategy, but you have to continuously grow every year. Every quarter you want to grow, every year you want to grow. So what are some ways that Walmart grows? How do they experience growth?
They sell like newer products that like come to market and start to rise. So like in the fitness industry, there's like a company called Rise Supplements, and they sell like pre-workout and protein, all that other stuff. And Walmart recently just started selling that in their stores. So like they continue to, even though like they're not producing the products themselves, they're like being able to sell other people's products like for like effectively, so people can have access to it easier, and then of course they're selling at the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Walmart takes on new suppliers, right? They have new products being sold by manufacturers in their store constantly. New products, right? They're taking a product and they're offering it for cheaper than the competitors offer it. Therefore, you're not going to the competitors, you're coming to Walmart to get it. It just makes sense. They take on new things. What are some other ways, though? What are some other ways that Walmart grows?
At least at the Walmart that I go to, they've changed their layout, which they rarely ever did, and they also added new registers. self-checkout.
So, more self-checkout.
Yeah, they updated it. It doesn't look old and scarred. It looks more modern.
Okay, Walmart decided this is more efficient to operate, right? Think of that. Like, here's a store. Are you thinking creatively how this one store can make more money over time? Like, yeah, let's switch the layout of the store. Let's get more automated checkout lanes and things like that. So there's different methods and techniques, right? You say, hey, we open up more distribution centers so we can get the stuff here quicker. That could be a method or technique we use in order to increase our revenues, to have growth. Right? So time may be more efficient over a period. How quickly you can get the merchandise to the stores to be sold. All right, example of value creating activities associated with cost leadership. Right, so finance. Here's all the different facets of the organization. Finance, manage financial resources to ensure positive cash flow and low debt costs. That's a critical one, right? You start a business, the bank gives you the money, write you the check. That's some of the first things you do with the check. Right? You're gonna be wasteful and not having a clear plan and direction about what exactly you're gonna do to utilize your resources, your capital resources. Or you're gonna be very efficient in how you use that money, right? In order to generate positive cash flow and pay it back and have low debt costs. Human resources, develop policies to ensure efficient hiring and retention to keep costs low. Implement training to ensure high employee efficiency. You can't just hire anybody, right? You have to hire competent people who you believe wants to stay with the company, who are loyal to the company. You don't want to have high turnover rate and fire and have to hire a ton of people over and over because people are dissatisfied with the job, with the position. You want to find creative ways to keep those people. Whatever you gotta do. We said we have title manipulation, right? Give them great titles, and to give them small bonuses, right? And to give them a pay upgrade and proper training, so that they're able to be very efficient in what they do. Have most of you taken MIS as part of the business program? It wasn't a requirement? It used to be required. Basically, management information systems is using all the databases and learning how to produce the databases in order to disseminate information out to organizations. I guess All right, so yeah, management information, which is just databases and queries and effective communications on how to disseminate information within the organization. Very, very quickly. We just said with Walmart, there's new checkout rooms as part of management information system. Right? You can see how efficient those machines work. Do they shorten the time of actually having human beings there? You know, you can get information from there to know if you made a good decision. And then value chain activities, supply chain management, effective relationships with suppliers to maintain efficient flow of goods and suppliers of operations. Think of that, for wherever company you're starting, you're gonna need people to supply you the things in order to make it operate. You wanna have good relationships with them so you're able to get discounts over periods of time. And the more discounts you're able to get, the more you're able to lower the costs for the customer, and the more you're able to compete against your competitors. Operations build economies of scale and efficient operations, such as production and processes. Distribution, use low-cost modes of transporting goods, delivery times that produce lowest cost. What's up with the Amazon vans or whatever they have? Right, they used to have different ones. people kind of have now.
They're more like the FedEx ones. Like more storage.
Yeah, is it Rivian, the company Rivian producing those? Who's producing those?
What are the electric ones, you mean?
Yeah.
I see them on fuel.
Alright, so Amazon made a decision to say, hey, we're gonna use these electric vans, right, to lower our carbon footprint, which people will, our customers will perceive to be a good thing, value-added thing. Also, hey, when the car goes in reverse, you're like, oh, that's an Amazon, because it sounds different. They put their own noise, their own sound to it. That's on purpose. That's for you to know that that's Amazon and not FedEx or UPS. So Amazon is already built into that, like, hey, we need some sort of differentiation right there too, and just how we deliver the packages to people. And we want it to look different. Doesn't, you know, the electric vehicle looks different than the standard van, so there's some differentiation. They probably get huge discounted costs for a fleet of those vehicles. And if it is Rivian, which is a more of a newer manufacturer of electric vehicles, then Amazon has a huge competitive advantage if anybody wanting to get in and start using more electric vehicles, right? They say Tesla doesn't have any yet. So once again, Amazon beat other competitors to that market for those deliveries. All right, an efficient follow-up to reduce returns. Good customer service. You want to have good customer service to help people not return the item so you don't take on those costs. Which could be all sorts of things, right? You give surveys for feedback. Yes, you let people do reviews on the product. You're able to follow up. You monitor the reviews. You solve any complaints that people have. You want to have satisfied customers with value-added products. All right, rivalry with existing competitors. Because of cost leaders' advantageous position, rivals hesitate to compete on the price variable, such as with Walmart. Factors that influence the degree of rivalry that firms can encounter when implementing cost leadership strategies: organizational size, resources possessed by rivals, dependence on a particular market, location, type of interactions, reach, richness, and affiliation. All of this is to say that it's extremely difficult when someone has already fortified a low-cost strategy to compete against them, because all these factors are already set in stone. So it's really difficult to compete. All right, working with cost leadership strategy, bargaining of buyers. Buyers are your customers. Although customers can force a cost leader to reduce its prices, prices will not be reduced below the level at which the cost leader's next most efficient industry competitor. All right, so your customers can force a cost leader to reduce its prices. The prices will not be reduced below the level at which the cost leader's next most efficient industry competitor can earn average returns. That means the company is not going to go below a certain threshold of what they're going to charge for a product, even if the demand changes, right? Because it means that they'll lose money. There's a threshold of how cheap you'll go with your products or your service to the point to where you lose money. You lose money to the point of where you can't compete with your next best competitor. Bargaining power of suppliers. The cost leader generally operates within margins greater than the margins earned by its competitors, thus making it possible for the cost leader to absorb its suppliers' increases, which means that this buffer is already in place of the cost you upcharge on what your products or your services. You have buffers in there, right? So the margin in which you upcharge people is there to absorb anything to where their suppliers might increase the price of what they're selling you. Right? So you create these sort of buffer zones. To reduce costs, some firms may outsource an entire function to a single or small number of suppliers. Right, you know that outsourcing is good if you're trying to keep costs low, but it makes it inefficient because of the amount of time it takes to get the stuff back to where you need to be, and the difficulties of working overseas, just in general, all the factors that go into it. What time is it?
48.
All right. All right, we'll finish off here. Potential entries. Over time, the efficiency of a cost leader enhances its profit margins, which in turn creates an entry barrier to potential competitors. Right? Walmart is one of those. No one can compete because, like I said before, Walmart puts a chokehold on its suppliers and it forces them to some point to have to be able to do business because Walmart is just the biggest, has the biggest market share in their industry. So it kind of forces. And product substitutes. When faced with product substitutes, the cost leader has more flexibility than do its competitors. Retain customers often can reduce its product price. Any questions? Try to get through these Friday. All right, yes.
Do you want me to remind you about the contract for the announcement project?
Oh, yeah, for your analysis project, if you can, I would like maybe more than one contact, but if you can't, right, it's difficult to reach out to people sometimes. One is good enough, right? One person that you can communicate with to extract information from in your company analysis, that'll be sufficient. So, don't need to, but if you can get to, that'd be easy, get some better information. All right, I will see you guys on Friday. You have a good